Okay, guys, so I'm going to X out 11, 12, and 13, okay? I know that these take a little longer, so I don't want to assign you all of them. So you don't have to do 11, 12, or 13. Let's go ahead and move on to 14. Now, remember I told you, make sure you're specific about your variable, okay? Are they talking about the cost of something, or are they wanting to know the number of each one? So in previous examples that we just worked, they told us, okay, they told us how many of each one they purchased and they wanted to find the cost. Here, it might be the opposite. Okay, so our variable might be now looking at how many they purchased, okay, as opposed to how much each one costs. Okay, so on number 14, okay, I've got one night, a theater sold 548 movie tickets. The adult tickets were $6.50 and child's tickets were $3.50. In all, they collected $2,881. All right, so they want to know how many of each ticket were sold. So, like I said, when you define your variables, look for that last sentence. That's usually a good place to start. So, I want to know how much of each ticket were sold. So, let's let X be the number of what kind of tickets do I have? I have adult tickets. I'm going to just label them A tickets. And Y equal the number of child tickets. I'm just going to abbreviate. Okay. So I defined my variables. Now let's look for clues. So here, this is my oops, I thought that wasn't my This is my very first clue. One night, a theater sold 548 movie tickets. Okay. So if I sold 548 movie tickets, some of those would have been adults and some of those would have been children. Correct. Okay. So if I collected all of the adult tickets and all of the children tickets and I added them together, I would have a total of 548. Well, how many adult tickets did I sell? I don't know. That's what they're asking me. X. X is the number of adult tickets sold. What's the number of child tickets sold? I don't know. So that's why I have Y. So that's going to be my first clue. Okay. My first clue is going to be if I add together the amount of adult tickets plus the amount of child tickets, I'm going to end up with a total of 548 movie tickets. Okay. All right. First clue done. Second clue. An adult ticket costs $6.50 and a child's ticket costs $3.50. Okay. So if we're talking about my next clue is going to be talking about how much money they collected. Okay. How much money they collected. So if we have an adult ticket costs $6.50, how much money did they make total off of all of their adult tickets? Well, you have to take how many they sold times the cost. Well, I know the cost was 650, but how many did they sell? I don't know. Once again, guys, that's what we're looking for, X. All right. And then if I add together the money they collected from children's tickets, right? I have to take the cost of the child's ticket times however many they sold. All right. But I don't know how many they sold. That's where my Y comes in. And how much money did they make in all? So if they add together the money they collected from adult tickets plus the money they collected from the child tickets, in all they made $2,881. Okay, so those are my two equations. They were a little bit more difficult than the previous ones because they weren't set up exactly the same way. Okay, this first equation talks about just the number of tickets, and this second equation talks about the profits they made or the money they made collected, the revenue. Okay, all right, so now we have decisions. We can use elimination or substitution. Now, in this one, I am going to use substitution because I'm thinking to myself, if I wanted to eliminate, which I could, but I would be multiplying by, I would have to multiply this top one by a decimal. Maybe if I want to get rid of X, I'd have to multiply it by 6.5, which isn't terrible, but let's go ahead and use substitution because it's kind of set up very nicely for that. This top equation, even though it's not solved for X or Y, okay, I can easily do that, okay? Let's go ahead and solve for X. Let's solve for X. What do I have to do to solve for X? I just have to subtract Y from both sides. So I have X equals 545 minus Y. Okay, so now I can take that and substitute that into my equation. Okay, so let's do that. Let's substitute this part into your equation. So I'm going to end up, let's get a different color because I feel like we got a lot of red on this page going on. So I'm going to take 6.50 times, let's see, instead of X, it's going to be 545 or 548. I'm sorry, I've been using the wrong number. 548. 548 minus Y, okay, plus, right here, plus 350Y equals 2,881. Okay, so let's solve for this Y now, okay? So when I distribute here, let's see, I have 650 times, okay, times 548. Okay, I have 3,562 minus 650Y plus 350Y equals 2,881. So I'm going to combine these like terms. So I have 3,562 minus 3Y equals 2,881. So I need to subtract 3,562 from both sides, 3,562. Okay, I end up with negative 3Y equals a negative 681. Okay, and then when I divide by my negative 3, divide by negative 3, sorry, going down there, I'm going to have Y equals 227. Okay, so now I know how many children tickets were sold. 227 children tickets. Okay, so what do we do to find out how many adult tickets? Well, you plug it back into one of your original equations, okay? So I'm going to take this guy right here. That's the easiest one. I'm going to say X plus 227 equals 548. Subtract 227 from both sides. We end up with X equals 321. Okay, so number of adult tickets were sold was 321. So with this one, we use the substitution method a little bit different. And so make sure that you are, if you're not confident, which method to choose, start working one out. And if it starts being way too much work, then you might want to think about doing the other way. But it's always good to think about 2 steps ahead of yourself and when you're doing these problems, okay, before you make your decision. Okay, I am going to leave number 15 for you guys. Okay, so make sure you do number 15. And I am going to do now number 16. Let me move this up and make it a little bit bigger. Okay. All right, a collection of dimes and nickels are worth $3.30. There are 42 coins in all. How many of each kind are there? So we'll like I said, always look at that last sentence. How many of each kind? I'm going to let X be the number of dimes. Okay, and Y equal the number of nickels. Okay, oops. Nickels. Okay, So let's look at our first clue. Our first clue says that a collection of dimes and nickels are worth $3.30. So how can I write that equation, okay? How can I find the worth of my dimes plus the worth of my nickels and totaling it to be $3.30? Okay? Okay. So what do we know about dimes? How much are they worth? Well, dimes are worth 10 cents, right? So if a dime is worth 10 cents, 0.10, how much will all my dimes be worth? Well, I have to take 10 cents times however many dimes, right? If I had 7 dimes, it would be 10 cents times 7, and that would be 70 cents. So since I don't know how many dimes I have yet, I'm going to put 10 cents times X, okay? And then here with my nickels, same thing. I'm going to put 5 cents times however many nickels I have, 5 tenths times Y. Okay. So whenever you're creating a cost, or here it's more, how much money you have, it's not a cost. But you'll always be multiplying the worth times the amount that you have. Okay. So my next clue, okay, these clues are always the easiest. If they tell you how many in total you have, they have 42 in total. That means that the number of nickels plus the number of dimes, okay, is 42. So I have 42 coins. Now we have our system. Which one do you think we should use? Um, I would prefer not to work with so many decimals and having to multiply with decimals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do substitution. I am going to solve for, and it doesn't matter which one, but I'm going to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. So I have y equals 42 minus x. Okay. And this is going to be my substitution that I'm going to put into my other equation. Okay. So let's take that equation. For writing sake, I'm just going to write 0.1 x. All right, that's the same thing. 0.1 is the same thing as 0.10 plus 0.05. You can't get rid of that 0 because that's in between, equals 3.30. But instead of y, what am I going to write? I'm going to write 42 minus x. And I didn't leave myself enough room. 42 minus x, okay, equals 330. Okay, so I have 0.1x plus, I'm going to go ahead and distribute that. And I get 2.1. Oops, I lost my pen. Okay, 2.1 minus 0. Oops, sorry, minus 0.05x equals 3.30. I'll combine these like terms and I end up with 0.05x, a positive, plus 2.1 equals 3.30. Subtract this from both sides and I end up with 0.05x equals 1.20. So how many nickels are in $1.20? There's 24. Okay, so x, okay, x, which is my number of dimes I have 24 dimes. Okay, and then how do I find my number of nickels? All I have to do is plug this into that equation. Okay, you could also use this equation right here after you, it's not that big of a deal, but you could use it into the revised equation too, y equals 42 minus x, right? So I say y equals 42 minus, instead of x, I'm going to write 24. Okay, so y equals 18. Okay, so I have 18 of those. So, all right. I am going to let you do number 17.